Hi everybody, thank you for joining me today for the retake video, and I decided that we were going to take a look at the sketch that we used last week, and we're going to use it for a card instead. It was a double layout, and we're going to take qualities of it and use it on our card today. And I'm going to insert a picture of the layout and my finished product right here before we get started, so that way to refresh your memories. And this was the finished product. Alright, so for today's video we're going to be doing a 5.5 by 5.5 card, giving us some room to use like a 6x6 envelope. And so what I'm doing is I tried to figure out how big I wanted my pieces for on top of my card. So I came up with the 2.5 for the width and 4.5 for the length. And so I'm cutting my two pieces that are going to be side by side, making sure that with doing the 2.5 and 2.5, it gives us like a 1/4 inch border around on the sides of the card itself. Now, I did this center or focal image off camera. This is for a different video, but I did some white embossing, and then I used my Zig colors to color it in to match the paper that we're using. And I'm just laying things out, just making sure everything is going to wind up fitting and working on here. And once I have that figured out, then we're going to cut our strips. That's going to be one of the elements that we're taking from the layout that we did. So I'm cutting, since this is 12 by 12 paper that we're using, I just had to cut one strip of each of the papers that I wanted to use, and then basically almost cut them in half. So the pink one here that I'm doing, I did it at 5 1/4 by, and the other one 5 1/4. They're a 1/4 inch thick as far as the strips. And on the foiled papers, I cut those to be 5.5 inches long. So the pinks are the only ones who are at a different length. And now I'm just trimming the ends, making the V shapes. And I got smarter. If I took the pattern paper and put it up against each other and made one cut, it would cut the opposite, for each of the pages, or strips, I should say. So now I got them laid out in the order that I want them on my card. So I decided to go ahead and start by attaching the paper to the card front. And at first, when I laid down that first one, I realized I put it over too far. But the thing with the ATG is it tends to stick pretty quickly. So I used the undo to remove the paper. And for me, I always re-glue the back. And if you give it just a little bit of time, it does dry. And I used a lot on that particular piece when I pulled it off too. And it really didn't mess with the card at all. If it does, you can always put a piece of paper on the inside of the card to kind of block that. So once I have the two papers down, I'm taking the strips, and right how they're laying, on the mat underneath the card, I'm just pulling them out one at a time and attaching them using, once again, the ATG. And I'm keeping them pretty close together, maybe 1/8 of an inch apart, because I want it to stay like pretty much right in the center. I took the same color of the card base, the cardstock. That's the one that I have in the center, because I want to say they use 7 strips, and so I did that one color and then 2 of each of the others that we had cut. So once I have them laid down, the center or focal image that I trimmed down earlier, I'm just going to put some foam tape on the back and then attach it to the card front. And I have this chipboard piece, Happy Birthday, and I decided at first I wanted to use some alchemy paints And I have one that goes, it's called the Opal Magic, and it's Aqua de Rose. And so I was testing it on the back side because I didn't want to do it on the front and then have to wait for it to dry, and I didn't like it. But when I put it on the dark cardstock, that's where you get the blue. It's one of those things where if you do it on white or light colors, it's pink. But if you do it on anything dark, it'll give it, it's a blue color. So I scrapped that, and I grabbed a Lindy's embossing powder. And this one is called Midnight. Oh, I can't read it. Uh-oh. I can't. Like bronze or brawn. And this one, when it heated up, it still has like a little metallic shine, but it's a darker color. So I like that, you know, so that it would stand up or pop off the card front, because everything is so light with the pinks and the foil. So we're just going to attach that with the art glitter glue. And I just put a clear block on top of it for it to adhere while I clean up everything and then get my flowers out that I want to attach to the card front. And I'm attaching these just using the 3-in-1 glue. And because of the way I did the foam tape, I was able to tuck some of the leaves underneath the focal image. So that way they're not, it could still fit in a 6x6 envelope with just that little piece sticking out. And then for a final embellishment, I decided to use my clear sequins. These are from Pretty Pink Posh, and they're the sparkling clear mix. And I'm just using some multi-matte medium to attach those to the card. And what I did is I put the 3 different sizes, I think it's 3 or 2, on the centers of the flowers, and then 3 of the sizes on the underneath part of the card where the dimension is, so they're just kind of peeking out. And then that makes the card complete once you get the last one down. Alright, and I'm sorry for the light. I know I'm trying to make sure that you guys can see everything, and sometimes with the foils and the shimmer paper, it does make it a little difficult to see. But as you can see in these close-ups, you can see where I put the sequins on the flowers themselves, and then just a few are peeking out. And the flowers I used were from Prima. They are the rose gold kissed, so it's just like on a little bit of the edge, and it went really well with that paper collection. Alright, so thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a retake on a retake. Does that work? Does that count? Well, we're going to go with that today. So at the end here, I'm going to have links to previous retake videos. And if you click on my photo, you can subscribe to my channel and get alerts whenever I upload a video. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day.